Amazing, isn't it? The human body. Beneath our skin, numerous systems are enacting complex processes, each as important as the other. And in unison, these processes sustain the body's life. It can be easy to take for granted the wonders in operation beneath our skin, because so many of them occur without any conscious effort. But when you stop and think about it, the human body with its many functions is capable of some truly incredible feats of grace, strength, speed, and beauty. The human body is a capsule that allows us to perform, expressing emotion in exquisite detail, from the top of our heads to the tips of our toes. There is no artificial parallel for the outstanding elegance and achievements that our natural bodies are capable of. Over the next 25 minutes, we'll discover the hidden wonders of the skeletal, muscular, cardiovascular, respiratory and nervous systems, and how they all work in conjunction with each other to create these amazing machines we call our bodies. At the core of the human body is the skeleton. The skeletal system provides the framework and structure for our entire body. Bones provide support for our muscles and give protection to all our vital organs. Our bones also store minerals and produce blood cells. There are 4 broad types of bones in the human body: long, short, flat and irregular bones. The long bones are longer than they are wide and include the humerus and tibia. The short bones are roughly cube-shaped and can be found in our wrists and ankles. Flat bones are long, flat plates that provide a base for muscle attachment and essential protection for vital organs. Flat bones form the ribs and skull. Lastly, irregular bones occur in non-uniform shapes and include the vertebrae and the lower jaw. When 2 or more of these bones meet together, their meeting place is called a joint. We have 3 types of joints. The first type are called fibrous joints or immovable joints and are fused together. These can be found in the skull and pelvis. Next, the semi-movable or cartilaginous joints allow small amounts of movement and are joined by cartilage. These joints can be found where the ribs join the sternum. The last type of joint, the movable or synovial joint, is the most common. Some examples of synovial joints are the elbow and ankle. Synovial joints help us move in a wide variety of ways. Some synovial joints give us flexion, allowing us to bend, or extension, enabling us to straighten these joints. Synovial joints may also allow for adduction, where the limb moves towards the centre of the body, or abduction, where the limb moves away from the body's core. Synovial joints may rotate, where the joint allows a limb to turn on its axis. Some synovial joints even allow for circumduction, which is a combination of flexion, extension, adduction and abduction. Circumduction occurs when the joint allows the attached limbs to move in a circular motion. To keep our bones healthy and allow our skeletal system to support all these different movements, we need to make sure we are getting certain vitamins and minerals. For example, calcium and phosphorus promote bone hardness. Vitamin A supports bone development. Vitamin C is important for strong bones. And vitamin D assists bone growth and calcium absorption. Exercise is also important for healthy bones and bone growth. and studies have shown that sensible resistance exercise is particularly beneficial for our bones. In summary, the skeletal system helps to protect our vital organs, support our body and its movement, store minerals, and produce blood cells. There are 4 main types of bones: long, short, flat, and irregular. There are 3 types of joints: immovable, cartilaginous, and synovial. Synovial joints have a range of motions, including flexion and extension, abduction and adduction, rotation and circumduction. Healthy bones require vitamins A, C, D, calcium, phosphorus, and sensible resistance exercise. The muscular system, in combination with the skeletal system, is what produces our movements. It also maintains our posture and produces a large portion of our body heat. 3 main types of muscles make up the muscular system. The first and most common is skeletal muscle, which is attached to the skeleton. Next, we have smooth muscles, which are involved in involuntary movements and can be found in areas such as the stomach and blood vessels. Finally, there are cardiac muscles, which form the walls of the heart. For all these types of muscles to cause movement, they have to pull on tissue or bone. One end of the muscle will usually be attached to a bone moved by the muscle's contraction, the insertion bone. The other end will be attached to the origin bone. This is the bone that remains relatively stable during the muscle's contraction, anchoring the muscle's pull. For the muscles to stay attached to the bone or tissue, they have to be really firmly harnessed to them. That's what tendons do. They're elastic tissues that harness muscle, usually to bone. We have 2 other types of connective tissue: cartilage and ligaments. Cartilage is a type of non-elastic tissue used to cushion the junction of 2 bones. Ligaments, on the other hand, are elastic tissues that connect bone to bone. Now, let's take a more in-depth look at the muscular system, in particular the skeletal muscles that attach to the skeleton. The major skeletal muscles are the biceps and triceps, deltoids, trapezius, pectoralis, latissimus dorsi, abdominals, gluteus maximus, hamstrings and quadriceps, gastrocnemius and soleus. These muscles are made up of bundles of individual muscle fibres that are classed in one of 2 categories: fast or slow twitch. People have some fast and some slow twitch muscle fibres. Athletes often have more of those muscle fibres that are suited to their particular sport. Athletes who perform endurance sports like marathons often benefit from a larger proportion of slow twitch fibres. These fire for long periods of time, but with little power. Sprinters, on the other hand, often benefit from more fast twitch fibres, which fire rapidly and powerfully, but tire quickly. When the muscle fibres fire and contract, this causes a muscle contraction. There are 3 main ways that our muscles can contract. The first type of contraction is called an isotonic contraction. It's when the tension within a muscle remains the same, but the length of the muscles shortens, producing movement. Isometric contractions, on the other hand, are when muscle length remains the same, but muscle tension increases, tightening the muscle but not producing movement. Lastly, in an isokinetic contraction, the tension remains constant throughout the range of movement. When intense exercise is being performed, the body focuses its efforts on helping your muscles to function properly. Your digestive system slows down to redirect energy to the working muscles. Your heart beats more quickly so that it can pump more blood, providing your muscles with more oxygen and nutrients. In the long term, exercise is really beneficial to our muscles. It improves muscle strength and makes our muscles less likely to get tired. So, our muscular system is vital to our ability to move, maintain our posture, and produce body heat. Let's revise what we know about the muscular system. It's made up of 3 types of muscle: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. And the 3 types of connective tissue which attach to muscles are tendons, cartilage, and ligaments. The muscular system involves fast and slow twitch muscle fibres, which form various skeletal muscles. And there are some important differences between the 3 types of muscle contractions that have an impact on the functioning of the whole system. We've also looked briefly at the effects of exercise on the muscular system in both the long and the short term. The cardiovascular system is the body's major transport mechanism and provides a vital courier service for the body. Blood picks up nutrients and oxygen from the digestive and respiratory systems and hormones from the endocrine glands. It then delivers these vital ingredients to cells. Blood also removes wastes, including heat, from cells and delivers them to the excretory organs. Blood is made up of 3 main components: red cells or erythrocytes that transport oxygen and carbon dioxide, white cells or leukocytes, which are part of the body's defence against microorganisms, and plasma, which forms the liquid part of blood, consisting of 90% water and 10% solutes, mainly proteins. To transport this blood all around the body, we have 3 types of blood pipes or vessels: arteries, veins, and capillaries. An artery carries oxygen-rich blood away from the heart. A vein carries oxygen-depleted blood back towards the heart. Lastly, the microscopic vessels called capillaries carry blood from small arteries back to small veins. As they courier the blood from artery to vein, capillaries make the drop-offs of oxygen-rich blood and pickups of carbon dioxide-rich blood to target body parts. The heart is what drives this delivery system. It pumps blood in the right amounts to meet the body's needs. The human heart is a 4-chambered muscular organ that is shaped and sized roughly like a large closed fist. It's divided by a vertical wall called the septum, with upper chambers called atria and lower chambers called ventricles. It is the atria that receive blood from the veins. Another important part of the heart is the sinoatrial node, contained in the upper wall of the right atrium. It controls the heart rate, sending electrical impulses to the atria to make them contract. The pressure caused by the atria's contractions pushes the blood into the ventricles, which then contract and force blood through the arteries. This produces blood pressure. The systolic blood pressure is the force with which the blood is pushed against the artery walls when the ventricles contract. The diastolic pressure is the force of the blood in the arteries when the ventricles relax and blood flows back into the atria from the veins. In healthy humans, average blood pressure is 120 systolic over 80 diastolic units. During exercise, our blood circulation speeds up as the body demands more nutrients, oxygen, hormones and cooling. The amount of blood ejected per beat from the left ventricle, called the stroke volume, increases, as does the systolic blood pressure and the heart rate. This means that the total amount of blood, or cardiac output, increases. Blood is also redirected from major organs such as the kidneys, liver, stomach and intestines. In the long term, exercise increases heart and blood volume and efficiency. The increased health of the cardiovascular system can result in decreases in a person's resting heart rate and blood pressure, making for a healthier body. It's useful to think of the cardiovascular system as a vital courier system for the body, with blood serving as the body's delivery van. Blood vessels serve as the roads the blood travels on, with the heart coordinating the timing and number of vans that are sent out, like a command centre. And blood pressure indicates the force or speed with which the vans leave their starting depot. Now let's recap some of the important points we've learned about blood. It picks up nutrients, oxygen, hormones and wastes, including heat, delivering them to the appropriate areas through the arteries, veins and capillaries. When you exercise, the body demands increased nutrients, so the cardiovascular system speeds up. In the long term, exercise makes the cardiovascular system more efficient and productive. The respiratory system supplies oxygen to the body's cells. It also removes carbon dioxide from those cells. These are incredibly important roles when you consider that oxygen processes energy to our bodies. Our muscles, heart and brain all rely on this energy in order to operate. When you breathe in or inhale, the diaphragm contracts and the chest becomes larger, causing a rush of air into the lungs. As this is happening, air is going into the nose, which filters out impurities as well as warming, moisturising and chemically examining the air. The air then travels through the throat and into the trachea or windpipe. It travels down through the small passageways of the bronchi to the lungs' interior, ending in tiny air sacs called alveoli. When the air rushes into the lungs, it fills the alveoli like balloons. The alveoli are surrounded by capillaries, and the alveoli transfer the oxygen into those capillaries. Simultaneously, carbon dioxide transfers from the blood into the alveoli. The blood is now full of oxygen, and the carbon dioxide in the alveoli is breathed out or exhaled. After absorbing the oxygen into the plasma, the blood leaves the lungs and is carried to the heart. The heart then pumps it through the body to provide oxygen to the cells. As the cells use the oxygen, carbon dioxide is produced and absorbed into the blood. Your blood then carries the carbon dioxide back to your lungs, where the process begins again. During exercise, our respiratory system speeds up to cope with the increased need for energy and thus oxygen. The muscle cells in the body use up more oxygen and produce more carbon dioxide. This forces the lungs to work harder and our breathing rate to increase. Long-term exercise encourages the chest cavity to enlarge, increasing the amount of air that can be inhaled. Smoking causes the lungs to produce more mucus by inflaming and swelling the bronchi. Smoking also damages the hairs that sweep dust and mucus out of the airways. Smoking causes a much higher risk of respiratory problems such as pneumonia, airflow constriction and lung cancer. Asthma also causes swelling and inflammation of the bronchi, producing more mucus. During an asthma attack, the bronchi become narrow, reducing the flow of air in and out of the lungs. The respiratory system provides us with oxygen and eliminates carbon dioxide from our system. It plays an essential role in producing the energy our body's cells need. Our respiratory system involves air passages such as the nose, throat, trachea and bronchi, air storage balloons called alveoli, and the lungs and diaphragm. While exercising, our respiratory system speeds up for the short term. However, in the long term, exercise makes regular breathing easier and more efficient. Smoking and asthma damage the respiratory system, causing excess mucus, swelling and inflammation. The nervous system is the communication and control centre of the body. It ensures that all our body parts are working together smoothly and properly. Our nervous system contains enormous networks of nerves threading throughout the body. The brain uses the information it receives from these nerves to coordinate all our actions and reactions. Nervous tissue is composed of two main cell types, neurons and glial cells. Neurons are responsible for the transmission of nerve messages. They carry messages back and forth through our network of nerves. Messages jump from one neuron to the next using special chemicals called neurotransmitters. There are two sections to the nervous system: the central and the peripheral nervous systems. The brain and the spinal cord make up the central nervous system. The brain oversees the workings of the body and tells the body how to react. The spinal cord is connected to the brain and runs down through the spine. It contains a long bundle of nerve tissues that branch out to every organ and body part. These nerve branches form the second part of the nervous system, called the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system is divided into the somatic, autonomic and enteric nervous systems. It is served by sensory and motor neurons, which carry messages to and from the brain. The somatic nervous system connects to skeletal muscle, skin and sense organs. It receives external stimuli, sending the sensory information onto the central nervous system. It also plays a very important role in voluntary movement. The somatic nervous system is responsible for sending brain signals that tell skeletal muscles to contract. It's what initiates the voluntary muscle contractions we looked at earlier. The autonomic nervous system, on the other hand, controls our internal organs. It controls mainly involuntary actions, such as those of the cardiac muscles, smooth muscles, and the exocrine and endocrine glands. The autonomic nervous system can be further divided into three parts. The sympathetic nervous system prepares the body for sudden stress, causing the heart to beat faster. It also prompts the release of adrenaline. The parasympathetic nervous system is involved in relaxation. The enteric system manages digestion. The nervous system is in charge of the body's communication and control. It is formed from nerves that are spread throughout the body. The nerves are made up of neurons and glial cells. The nervous system is divided into the central and the peripheral nervous systems. The central nervous system comprises the brain and spinal cord. It receives information and gives commands. The peripheral nervous system comprises the somatic division, which receives stimuli and tells skeletal muscles to contract, and the autonomic division, which controls internal organs. Our body is like a machine, with each system depending on the other. The skeletal system provides the structure for our body. Working off that structure is the muscular system, which allows movement. The cardiovascular system transports the body's nutrients and wastes. Energy production is enabled through the respiratory system. And the nervous system controls and communicates with all the other systems. By working together, these systems allow us to express the beauty and grace of this amazing organism that we call the human body.